Yo, 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 what is going on, CoD Familia? It is your boy BN. Today, we're going to be finally getting into the SOS4 6046 KvK shenanigans between what was the matchup of RFF BTX MFD going up against A2G wAo RoG, and then it changed, and basically MFD and A2G swapped. And so there was two situations that arose from the KvK as things were escalating and then eventually transitioning. Number one was that there was an end of season rewards dispute between BTX and MFD. And on the second layer, there's A2G either leaving or being removed from the wAo RoG team. And then you end up seeing a swap. But the curious part here, and what we're going to try to solve and figure out and hopefully be able to illuminate for you all, is why did it happen? Did MFD inform their team that they were leaving? Did RFF BTX say that you're no longer allowed here? Did something else happen? On the A2G side, did they say they were leaving? Were they truly kicked by wAo and RoG? And hopefully we'll at least be able to give you some more context, and you can always make the decision for yourself. And of course, if you'd like to share your own thoughts, let us know down below. As always, it's always a joy for me to read those. Of course, aside from that, make sure you throw us up because it helps out a lot. Thanks. Okay, let's get into this. So we got a lot of stuff up here to show you. I'm going to try and go in order. So you're going to hear from BTX, MFD, wAo, and A2G. Now on the BTX side, the person I did speak to there, again, is remaining anonymous, but I do have some screens and stuff that we can show here. MFD, wAo, A2G, they did not mind being named. Now, I'm going to do things a little differently here, where I'm actually going to show you the original feedback and messages that I got from each person, aside obviously from the BTX. That said, it was okay to share and it was okay for them to be named. So you have the full response. So those of you that would like to pause and then go forward and pause, and I'll be sure to show those. I'm going to try and show those first, I think is how I have them set up. And that's mainly because I figured, well, let me show you the full breadth, because typically what I'm doing here is summarizing what they are sending. And that's okay. But after I was thinking about it a little bit more, I thought, well, let me at least show the full thing, give the full picture, and then you guys can still kind of go off the summary as well. Okay, so here we go. A2G left the ally due to not being on the same page in strategy. This is what was said. MFD and BTX wanted dragon rewards. There was three options for dragon rewards: voting, spinning the wheel, or a 1v1. MFD voted MFD, so they basically chose the votes. BTX voted BTX, which is like, okay, you know. And RFF voted BTX. MFD upset, and then they had betrayed. And I imagine what they're saying here is they switch sides. But I'm still curious, like, you know, how that happened. wAo RoG said they had nothing to do with it, but they plus A2G MFD started pushing together at the same time. Maybe coincidence. Was a 2v4 for a short period. Then it turned into a 3v3 again. So again, maybe it just ended up working out at that point. But here's what we got for BTX. Okay, so here's a screen here. BTX MFD attacking each other. We have a chat here from Jalal saying, good morning and pardon me for not being able to make it to the VC yesterday. I would only like to fix some facts and point some things out here with all due respect, not give a final decision for BTX. The only reason BTX was able to secure both A2G passes is because MFD was able to fight hard enough to fully distract A2G from defending. No, we hit A2G where it hurts the most, and when they tapped out and used all their shite, they retreated to our side for easier fights. Could it be that they might have been able to prevent us from locking them in zone 3? No. But I'll leave the guesses to all of you. At the end of the day, you can't argue the unknown. Okay, touche there. Touche there, Spartacus. Okay, the final zone part. Only success for wAo was when MFD was defending RoG from helping. If you're talking about the beginning of the zone, we held off lots of RoG pressure while fighting wAo. If you're talking about our close attempt with the Spire, we had to deal with RoG twice while taking wAo Spire before you sent infantry to block the choke. Eventually, yesterday we managed to take wAo Spire. Okay, next. BTX also lost the Spire versus wAo and allowed wAo to 1v1 RFF in Zone 2 and win. We only lost the Spire a few hours ago in a 1v2 against wAo and RoG in our downtime after being exhausted from fighting all day while RFF made it to wAo's level 5 pass and pushed through Zone 2. I don't know where the win part came from. See the picture below. After Dragon EOS was gifted to BTX, they were nowhere to be found fighting wAo. I don't know if you've seen our 6-hour plus rally yesterday versus wAo, and last night we had to deal with RoG plus wAo again, eventually losing the Spire. We're the only ones not taking a break since FZ opened. And again, I guess more screenshots. I can't see the timestamp, but I imagine, you know, I don't know if they had sent me this one. BTX replied with no, they will do it themselves. They did not want to do it themselves, and they didn't do anything to wAo. Or sorry, they did not do it themselves. Once again, have you seen RFF's progress into wAo's territory? They're free burning wAo each minute. If you mean Spire, we said we would do it ourselves, not anticipating RoG coming to support wAo once more, ultimately losing, and I can't read in between that. Okay, once more, ultimately losing Spire 1 minute away from getting it. Now, the points I want to mention are as follows. Number one, season is not over. You may have fought the most until now, including the useless Zone 2s and the friendly fights with RoG you mentioned, despite being severely injured. For the remainder of the season, that's not going to be the case. Currently, BTX is the one doing most of the fighting against wAo and soon against RoG. You want to fight A2G in your Zone 2, that's your call, but you can't judge Alliance contribution midway. You had your time to give contribution, and now it's another Alliance's turn. MFD is the only one here with 2 Zone 2s. Nobody tried to invade our Zone 3. You got bored. You seek content. That's completely fine. Just don't count it towards your season contribution. It was never the plan for you to push A2G Zone 2 anyway. Neither did we ask for it. You wanted to deny them rewards and get some content. That's cool. But again, the only reason we managed to push A2G Zone 3 was because of MFD. No, I'm sorry, that's not true. If you were stuck between 2 fronts in your Zone 3 or something was threatening your final zone entrance or whatever, that's valid. But what would your Zone 2 merits stat trading with A2G benefit the coalition? You also did mention, and I don't know if that was connected or not, but here we go. There's another one. We agreed on a democracy vote, and the voting went as it went. Why do we need to bash each other or praise ourselves? We agreed on voting, and that's it. We already got to the conclusion of not moving from our stance of Dragon Awards, and we both already gave our reasonings for why both MFD, there we go, and BTX mutually agreed on a voting. Stop guilt tripping and making a drama out of it. Yeah, I mean, everything you wrote is a pile of BS. Not even going to respond to that. So BTX replied to this question. MFD fought 19 days straight. BTX fought 4 days. You are arguing to get Dragon for egotistical reasons and holding a grudge versus us. You guys are willing to hurt BTX image after the season. I don't understand the logic. Who the hell would want to ally with the kingdom who is not fair or reasonable? Again, Abd representing MFD. Now, the one thing I will say here is that if there was an agreement and everyone voted on doing the vote, you know, you can't really be mad with the outcome if you're the one who agreed to it, especially given there was 3 options. And, you know, and again, that's only if no other options were presented or there was no other window or opportunity to present other options at that point. And so the moment that you decided, in this case, right, this would be coming from the MFD perspective, that you decided to say, listen, okay, we agree, let's do the voting. Everyone does the voting, and then now you're unhappy with the result. I don't really see that. That doesn't make sense to me, because the opportunity for you to convey any rebuttal, any response is prior to you agreeing to saying, yeah, this is okay. Because you agreeing is you admitting and saying, well, not admitting, but acknowledging that you are okay with this. It doesn't matter what the result is. I'm fine with this because we're selecting this option, right? Or maybe MFD went into it thinking that RFF would vote for them, but then they didn't. And then that's how it played. I mean, again, right? So there is some unknown there. But if everything adds up and everyone agreed to it, accept what the result is. Otherwise, take it as a lesson learned, right? For the future. Okay. She says, I will answer easily. I think we have been fair. We only fought for 4 days because our enemy dipped. Do not mean that we only hold the fight for 4 days. Means our enemy was only able to hold. Okay. Next here. Oh, here we go. I need a yawn counter. Do not mean, it slept like almost 8 hours too. Wow. Do not mean that we only hold it for 4 days. Mean our enemy was only able to hold for 4 days. As you can see, Final Zone, we have been fighting till now nonstop. I don't know what's fair for you. The outcome of the map, BTX have locked down A2G. RFF has managed to hold wAo, the strongest enemy. MFD fought in both Zone 2 in defensive position against A2G. That's exhausted after fighting us for 36 hours. And RoG, ooh, wow, that felt good. That occasionally pushed. Adam says, but we've been able to hold our enemy off from a 1v2 while fighting every day. So what does that mean? And I think at least what I'm seeing from this is that it feels, at least it perceives to me, that Abda is kind of looking more at the, not the nuance. What's the word I'm looking for? Not superficial, but is kind of talking about the general theater of war. And again, maybe there will be something where he works in and says like, hey, these are what the numbers are, as an example. Right. But if the timeline is right here up to this point and everything has already been agreed to, I just don't really understand why we would continue having a conversation at that point. Right. It's like, if you've agreed to it, accept it, assess it, analyze it, learn from it, and either do something different or have if it's a better or an improved approach the next time around, right? But sometimes you can take things as a learning experience. I think the one thing that I'm not really, and this is generally for me not a fan of, is when you agree to something but then you just kind of keep letting it linger, or you're proactively lingering it. And you just kind of keep going on and on and on and on, where it's like, you agreed to, but you're just not accepting the result. Again, I don't, maybe this is just a one-off here and it only went for a couple posts. Again, I don't know how long it went for after the decision was made. Again, based on what it seems like we're reading so far. But I think that is in my opinion, generally speaking, it is a more professional and mature approach when you think about how to handle those things after the fact. And also understanding what you signed up for if you did in fact agree to doing this path on how we were going to get to the end result for rewards distribution. Shiso, like I said, BTX agrees that all contribution of season are equal to be respected. We are willing to do it by a vote or even by luck, even though A2G being locked down is what guaranteed the victory of the season. Other thing, MFD have been only fighting Zone 2 for the last 2 days, which helped nothing to achieve our 6 centuries. Okay. If you think we fought at a defensive position versus A2G, then you clearly did not watch the 1v2. We gave you the option to 1v1, to wheel, and to vote. We all agreed on voting, and we all did. I have said A2G have been exhausted after fighting us from vital words. What is this crap? Why though? The reasoning is literally we want to do everything possible to not let MFD get dragon. What grudge are you holding against us? Tell me. I came into this season extremely excited to ally BTX. We are holding no grudge against you, Abd. The only thing BTX and RFF are both deserving as much as MFD for EOS. Okay. Next, we are holding. Here we go. No grudges. Feel like we are deserving of the dragon, just like you. And okay, so you were saying this to try and sway RFF into your favor. Got you. I'm saying that I feel and what I think is the right thing, Abda. And I think, to be fair, based on what I'm reading, I don't necessarily feel like there's any textual, I don't know if I want to say aggressive tone or just maybe more direct tone coming from Shiso, Coconut, the others. At least Again, based on the context we know right now at the moment. So you were saying this to try and sway. Wait, hey, we read that. I'm saying, okay, I mean, the offer to vote wAo 1v1 still stand, and even now BTX is pushing in wAo territory to hold our words of 6 entries for everyone, while MFD have been exhausting their leftover RSS in Zone 2, A2G that don't matter. To get BTX Dragon EOS, I've done Diplo for 12 years. I'm not retarded. Killing me. Oh man. Okay. I mean that was just direct, right? I guess not good or bad, but just direct. I mean, neither the vote or wheel guaranteed the outcome of EOS or BTX. It just guaranteed fairness between our 3 allies and our current alliance structure. Okay. So that is the BTX portion. Let's get to the MFD portion, right? So here's Abda's portion. And again, Abda was completely fine with being named. So again, we'll show you some stuff here in a sec. BTX, right, here we get some numbers. BTX had 1.08 billion merits, MFD 2.19 billion merits before final zone. Again, I don't know what the merit numbers look like after that. Or whenever their stopping point was. Like, I don't know if they had a particular time, like saying, hey, this is the date and time we're going to run this to or up until. So I don't know if that was stated, right? That was kind of a similar situation we talked about that happened with TFS. And, oh gosh, now I'm already forgetting the other name. But within that KvK and trying to figure out, you know, how are we going to play this out? On, you know, like, hey, I thought I meant this date. Or, well, the other team thought they meant this date. So you're kind of seeing like a trend. Maybe it's a soft one here, at least for this KvK. Okay, so BTX, MFD fought 19 days straight. BTX fought 4 days straight. Now, again, the one thing I don't know is when they say 19 days straight, 4 days straight, are they referring all final zone? Is that just generally spread out between zone 2, zone 3? You know, because keep in mind, to me, there are differences. I will say this. Zone 2, for the most part, is not a priority. Priority is, well, and keep in mind, I say it's not a priority in the sense of if you have your Zone 3 secured, Zone 2, for the most part, is not a priority because there's no aggression of your enemies infringing on your Zone 3 to potentially cut you off going into the final zone or cutting you off while you're in the final zone and coming to hit you from the back. If everyone is fighting in the final zone, then you would say, okay, well, our primary focus is on the final zone, and then also just checking if it is the level 4 passes from zone 2 into zone 3, and then you'd watch those, right, as an example. But if it's just general fighting in the zone 2 and there's no threat of them pushing into your zone 3, then I believe at that point, zone 2 is pretty much useless, right? You would probably want to focus most of your efforts. Now, if the season is already secured and there's not any potential, anything up in the air, and there's no uncertainty on, you know, who's going to take over FZ and you already have control of it, then yeah, then I don't think at that point it really matters kind of where you go and fight, unless you maybe have particular objectives that you need to go and hit. And if people need some assistance, maybe in getting there a little bit faster, and it's kind of starting to become like a timeline issue, right? So there are some kind of some caveats, if you will, right? Some asterisks. Okay, BTX secured both A2G passes with support from MFD fighting A2G. MFD mostly left BTX fight left. I think it was let. I think this is let, not left. Okay, I feel better there. Let BTX fight RoG wAo to get more merits or action. BTX wasn't able to achieve success in final zone without MFD. MFD held off an RoG A2G joint push in final zone, held off a 1v2 on 2 separate occasions. Multiple BTX members DM'd MFD players' leadership, telling them to stop fighting in the final zone. Okay, after BTX received Dragon end of season, they did not fight wAo after saying no matter reward distribution, they will fight hard. At least based on the screenshots that we've seen, obviously, if we really want to go over the top, we'd have to see a screenshot from after whatever the timestamp was on Discord for once the vote concluded, and then seeing if there's, and then checking in-game screenshots for fights that were happening. or reports that happened of still fighting, whether that's rallies or other, and then that timestamp in game being later than the one on Discord after the vote concluded, right? If you just want to like overly prove that. Now, if you are okay going off of what we've seen, which is light, right? It's not a hard confirm, right? Then you could say that that disproves this. But like I said, I would have to see that, and I haven't seen that at the moment, again, to be fair to both sides. Okay. So RFF fought hard against wAo for 2 days straight. RFF asked BTX if they could staff to cut off wAo bastion reinforcements. BTX said no, they will do it themselves. In the end, could not do it. Everyone acknowledged MFD contributed the most. Wouldn't it be so dope if you could like replay KvKs? Oh, that'd be so cool if there was like a VOD function to like replay. Everyone acknowledged MFD contributed the most. Does BTX have a grudge against MFD or just selfishly? Or just selfish? Selfishly wanted Dragon EOS when MFD sacrificed 5 times more. Oh, I already got that. Why do I still have that here? Okay, so that's what we got there from MFD. Okay, let's look at some stuff I got from MFD, right? So here's the full thing that, and I'll move my cam too as well, right? So in case any of you guys want to get, some shots here. But this is, and I'll just kind of show this semi-quickly because there will be an opportunity, obviously, for people to pause. But this is the screen from Abner, right? This is his summary to me on, and any screenshots, right, on what happened. And I'll show this one too as well. I'll put this over here to the side just in case. And right, so there's numbers that are mentioned. There's a little bit of history here that was provided as well. And so again, for the most part, I tried to primarily focus on usually when I'm cutting stuff up. And again, I'm always pretty forward with, pretty transparent. Like people will send me a lot. Like this is a lot, right? And so typically when they send me this stuff, I will always read everything. First and foremost, right? And if you're going to take the time to write me up some, I have the professional courtesy and due diligence to read everything. So for me, it's okay. I need to read this, and then I need to summarize, right? So that way videos aren't, an egregious amount of time long. So, but I at least wanted to show you guys off the screens so you have access to those to kind of see the full context, right? Okay. Now there wasn't anything beyond that. Now I should state this. Abda did say that he was going to send me some screenshots following up. I also want to point out that I could have put this video out probably on October 19th, so about 6 days ago, but I was waiting on Abda to confirm the summary that I had sent. I ended up hearing from him, I think a day or two ago, and this was after he had already gone on, I think it was Princess's live stream, to share his side. So again, I will say, I don't even know if I would say respectfully, but I would just say that is a little interesting. And it does feel rough. And I say that because I would have appreciated the professional courtesy of not having to sit and wait on a story that I could have covered and put out earlier if I got a confirmation from him. The way the optics look, objectively speaking, is that he intentionally waited until he went on with Princess before giving me a confirmation so I could put the video out. Now, if I didn't care about asking people for their permission and approval in the summaries that I provide and waiting to get material from them, I could have just put it out already because, to be fair, I did have enough to go at that point. So my thing is, and again, I don't know if it was this just a one-off thing. Is this how Abda is? I don't know those things. So I'm not going to speak to that. I can only speak to what happened and the actions. And my hope is that in the future, if something like that comes up and there is a conflict, just be transparent, right? And let me know, or let whomever you're dealing with know, hey, I'm doing this thing on this date. I'm just giving you a heads up. So that way, if I wanted to put it out before or after, at least I would be able to make that decision at that point. So I at least would have appreciated that. It just, again, optics, it just kind of feels like a little bit of an indirect slight to me. Whether that was his intention or not, maybe he really just genuinely forgot and had a lot going on. I don't know. I can only say how it looks to me after multiple days had passed, and then the very next time I see something being talked about, which is from the person that I'm waiting on approval confirmation from, right, that was kind enough to write me up something in the beginning, is going and doing something else elsewhere. So, okay, let me get to Captain. So with Captain, a very short thing here, right? Captain just said, there was an inability after many talks, chat, and voice to execute a plan that was agreed upon by all. When stated wAo is out, this meant that wAo would not worry about coordinating any efforts with A2G, but still fight against their enemies. Okay. So, and then here's a screen from him saying, and don't worry, the A2G and the RoG ones are the longest. So I'm going to try and go through those as quick as we can because I know we're getting a little bit high on time. Also, to ensure my previous comment is understood, when I say wAo is out, I'm done doing the discussion thing every day with getting the same result. I'm not revolting. I'm not going to invade A2G. I'm not going to be a child. However, I am done in the sense of trying to coordinate with any efforts with A2G, as all previous efforts have been ignored. Or despite all our efforts, double our efforts to put us all in the best position to win the season, it's not being returned. Okay. Now let's go to A2G. So Vital had a little bit more to say. Vital saying limited Diplo options due to all agreeing south side is overpowered, and that's coming south side into the final zone. And MFD and A2G must be on different teams. RoG won't work with BTX and vice versa. Some TFS recruits new to A2G informed that allying RoG is an auto loss. Doom and assured Vital, RoG overall is solid. Team came up with a plan to duo invade MFD as a method to success. MFD beats RoG in 2 days. In about 2 days, this zone 2 is viewed as a KvK decider. As now, excuse me, that felt great. As now, no duo invade. Main game plan / strategy goes out the window, and a new solid game plan does not really develop. RoG states they are pulling out of zone 2 in win condition due to members' gas and not wanting to take deads. Prep for FZ. Was the Jason TFS RoG crash out right all along? I think there's a screen for that we might end up showing. New proposed plan, A2G fully invests in Zone 3 BTX defense to allow RoG wAo to enter FC. A2G was skeptical based on RoG's performance and one choice thus far on a Zone 2 pullout. A2G has been semi-passive given RoG's MFD Zone 2 pullout. Doom had asked Vital and Cap permission to set up mirror battle with MFD right after losing Zone 2. FZ opens and A2G shows up against BTX, lasting about 30 hours. wAo RoG continue with plan proposal that A2G just needs to defend every choke to buy them time to assist. Okay. A2G feels bad asking their players to spend time, money, resources, lose sleep, schedule off work for BTX fight due to not having a plan / a way out for the effort. Oh boy. I'm getting that tickled. Dang it. A2G feels unheard by wAo RoG. Meanwhile, BTX burning towers in Zone 3, excuse me, and MFD burning towers in Zone 2. A2G chooses to fight the easier of the Zone 2 matchups, given how things look. Okay, so much better, even though I feel like Violet from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Okay. Whew. A2G chooses to fight, excuse me, the easier of the Zone 2 matchups, given how things look. Lord almighty. To be going, literally crying while I'm reading this. It's a sad story. And goes Zone 2 against MFD. Okay. Whew, that's the A2G perspective. Again, you're going to notice some more screens. Now, I'm doing this in order, so I'm going to show you kind of the original words, but then I'll show you the screenshots and other things too as well. They're a little bit closer, right? So in this case, this was that screen from Jason that was floating around. Gosh, I think it was not last, but a couple KvKs ago. and when they were teaming up with RoG. And you could see here, right, he says, okay, I'm done asking effing nicely. Wake the F up and move your arses. You either do it or we'll go into your Discord and tell your people ourselves straight up stop being effing useless. None of your players are close to even being zeroed. And if you think you're low effing RSS heal, and if you can't, I don't know, WTF, you're doing straight up, you're getting dog walked by effing farms right now. And then obviously you can see there was a lot of pings that went out there. Next one, right? So kind of highlighting a part two, a game plan, right, that was mentioned for the zone 2s, and you can see, right, some of the information provided there. This one, right, says, you guys good in MFD, A2G zone 2, I'm thinking of pulling them out soon. We're tapped, I think. Okay. And then this was a chart that was shared, and you could see that here, right, so kind of around the zone 2. So you can kind of see like where the power to the desk, I guess I imagine the desk of mana spent kind of were around that time. And you can see the merits gained, power was lost, right? A2G, EXP, right, having the most power loss. Then merits gained, right, it appears wAo, A2G, RFF there. Deaths accumulated, wAo, A2G having the highest. Mana spent, MFD, wAo there. Okay. Then we get into the next one. So we have, oh, hang on, maybe I should move myself for this one just in case. I didn't realize it was blocking the whole thing. So we have the gate 4 defense, and then we'll show you the bottom here. Then we're going to get into, I think this is a, okay, yeah, we're going to have some more screens that are coming up here shortly. So this is one. And then we get to the next one, right? So Doomstar, are you ignoring contact or what status? I just got home. We have missed probably 5 towers of progress today. And you can see the date. Can't wait on your SCH. I don't know what that means. Shite, maybe? Okay, then. Please tell me who to contact when you're busy. 5 useless towers, you mean, while you rallied a useless bastion for giant. Good one. W is out. Good luck. Let's voice soon, Cap. No, I have nothing to say. She's like, damn. Okay, Diplo update. Today during our bastion fight, WO captain, R5 captain communicated to us that WO is done and has resigned from the Alliance's side. With this update, we are in a solo stance for the remaining of this KvK. As many of you have noticed, we aren't really pushing on MFD right now, even as A2G is fighting MFD. Why? Let's back up and go over why we were playing this yo-yo war to begin with. MFD started pushing A2G zone 2 in order to enter zone 3 of A2G and 2v1 them in their zone 3. That's when we started to try and push out and help them. This worked really well and stopped MFD advancing. At that point, it would be impossible for them to enter A2G zone 3 in time to make a difference. At this time, BTX, At this time, BTX is bulldozing A2G zone 3 towers, gaining ground to their past 5s to cut out A2G. Concerns from both me and Captain from wAo were expressed to A2G about the lack of preparation and planning for stopping BTX from cutting them out. A2G said that they did not feel like they could stop BTX and more or less threw in the towel for final zone due to low troop count and people being exhausted. After a 1-hour discussion with them last night with A2G and myself, and a plan was agreed to try and stop BTX at choke. Now, right, you're kind of seeing a different thing here, right, from them saying that they had agreed, right? Okay. So at this time, BTX is, oh, wait, hang on, we're exhausted, we're in our discussion. Okay, here we go. Stop BTX at a choke. Points as well as harass and delay them to as long as possible in order to buy time to make it to the final zone. A2G has not really done this. However, they state they still plan to make a final stand at the choke point. Since then, not much has been done to prepare to fight BTX and stop them. And A2G has been fighting MFD pretty heavily. 2 bastion fights using what troops they could have to defend against BTX instead of against A2G. And then here's another screen from our conversation, again, just for the full context. Okay, now you're seeing a little bit more here, and then we'll show that. Oh, hang on, there we go, get off that just so you guys can see that portion. And then here we'll show this one, right? So in this one, we have Abder reaching out on the 14th. Hey, Vital, are you around? What's up? Can you call? Kind of need a moment. KK woke 2 minutes ago, and I can hear fire alarms going off next door. Okay. Oh, Jesus, that's a terrible way to wake up. There's no one free I can call. Right, so you see 2 calls on here, one at 12, one bam, lasted 12 minutes, 11 minutes, right, 23 minutes in total. Okay, And next one, resumed it all the way, right? So you could see here some information that ended up going. We'll get to here in a sec, right? So for this one, she said, want to talk for a second. Message Dipoli later. Okay, I can. I want to message R5, but I will take that as you are interested in my proposal. She's in voice. That mean you are interested or not? Me neither. Me personally, no. My team wants to hear y'all out. Sure, give me her Discord. Okay, right. So BTX at that point, right, reaches out. Okay, so then we get the next screen here, right? This is kind of talking about the quote unquote betrayal portion. So then we get, right, as we go down, you can see some more screens here, right? We're going to show those as well. So here we got the first one, right? Hey guys, okay. BTX approached us, which my personal first reaction, this is Vital saying, I was attached. However, I left it to, and this is again, because keep in mind, this is, he's reaching out. Remember when they said about the 2v4 situation happening and then it transitioned to a 3v3? This kind of shows you, right, that happening briefly. So, however, I left it to the R4 vote, and the R4 voted 8-0 on the ones awake in favor of BTX side of things, with myself and 8th not voting as we dislike both options. We will post new aligning A2G on the RFF BTX side, right? So this is Vital then say, okay, now A2G is going to go over here, right after Abda had already joined from MFD on their team. Abda hits him with the croak. Wait, A2G is joining RFF and BTX. Yeah. Is this a joke? No. Wow. Are you effing kidding me? That is locked in, right? I just left the chat at that point. Didn't feel like listening to the crash out. And then I'm gonna be honest, man. This is pretty funny. I don't know if I've seen KNG Crunts or KRNTS, but you should have said no cap. Absolutely. Like that would have been a quality. Yeah, just quality. Okay, so she says BTX and RFF will give a frame for A2G. BTX will give giant to A2G in case they can't take for MFD. A2G will give the sentries to RFF. A2G help BTX and RFF in Dragon Zone. Right, so there you go. Right, agree. Okay. And then we get to the last one. And this is just like a last piece of this that you could see from, let me remove my face too, just in case, that right came over from the Vital side. Okay. Now that's all the A2G stuff. Okay, let's get to the RoG stuff, and then we're going to show those off. Okay, so from Doom's perspective, right, we have a couple, and I think Doom's is probably the longest. So for this one, Zone 3, Level 4 Pass Defense War for A2G. A2G lost Pass 4, Gate Defense, and moved against MFD Zone 2 that they share, to stop them from invading A2G Zone 3 and double teaming A2G and BTX. Also, to secure their end-of-season Hydra rewards. RoG initiated offensive to break out of their Pass 2. Break out of their Pass 2. We lost Zone 2 to MFD on MFD RoG Zone 2 to keep MFD from fighting one side. MFD was stopped in A2G Zone 2 after 3 days. 4 days are left until final zone opening and very unlikely to be able to make it to A2G Zone 3. The plan worked more or less. It was noticed that A2G was not building much or planning on defending their Zone 3 at all against BTX, effectively giving up on their final zone access. Inquiries, both Cap from a wAo and myself, were made. A 1-hour war planning conversation was had with Vital from A2G, where we came to an agreement for them to make a final stand in their final zone access. Very shortly after this meeting, it was noticed that A2G was not doing anything that they agreed to defend to defend their final zone access. They were engaged in a bastion fight against A2G. After this, Cap wasn't very happy and communicated his feedback. Cap stated he was going to reach out to BTX to try and diplo a way for A2G to enter the final zone so we could have a fun 3v3 instead of 5 kingdoms fighting, which while one side is a win, it's not that much fun. Absolutely. And that can demotivate people. So I could understand trying to throw a Hail Mary, right? Even if it goes nowhere, especially if you're trying to do something that's in the betterment of the entire KvK. Right, kind of objectively, of course. Okay, BTX came back with that they are for it, but had a condition that A2G fight them. MFD RFF did not want this scenario. This part is important because largely BTX was being a good sport for this KvK, trying to make it fun for all. Okay, so here we go, right? So this is broken up into each portion based on what Doom had sent, right? So the first one here is like the A2G Zone 3 Level 4 pass invasion. So we got some screens to show. Okay. I mean, we had to try and delay there. I thought we agreed. Captain showing this. Guys, again, I just don't understand this. Why are we wasting troops on MFD? Okay. A2G has to slow down BTX. This fight is pointless. Why didn't we defend the A2G Bastion at the choke? I'll write you back in Discord ASAP Cap. And you see the Bastion here. I guess this is the MFD Bastion, and A2G is hitting it. I don't think there's a timestamp on this one. I think this is like the entire, oh, hang on, let me see. Can I go to the right? So this is on the 7th, 1528 UTC that they're hitting that. Okay. Then we get to the next one. Ooh, I didn't realize this was like massively big here. Let me remove my face. One moment. Okay. So in this screen, right, A2G is not saying F final zone. We held BTX for the pass. Oh, hang on. Can I? One moment. Let me see here. Can I? Okay, no, that's it. Okay, we held a BTX for the pass for as long as we could. We tried to fight two fronts. We don't have the manpower to fight those two alliance fronts. BTX arrived at the choke during a low time of most of our members, EU, US, either being asleep in the eastern hours of their morning or preparing to go to work. We had members take off work to battle for these 3 days, and many are out of the elixir from their treasury already. Myself included, we talked over trying to get into Dragon Zone multiple times after many hours during this time frame. I know RoG has been working hard to fight MFD on the other side, but a lot of the fight has fallen to us. Our members are returning to something, and some are just playing out of COD stamina as a person. As Vital said, we had 37 people online for the choke, and it was not worth further expending troops, RSS, member stamina to fight at that choke, so we made the decision to leave it undefended. Even after staying up late, try to give us our best effort at fighting there. The bridge you pinged is not our final stand. When Vital wakes up, I assume we will look over a plan again. However, for now, we're following the plan laid out before he went to bed, but I do want to emphasize that our goal has been this entire time to enter and fight in the final zone. Doom says, okay, I mean this with all due respect, but you guys are using up troops that you could be using to make your final stand. Whatever that is now, later, you guys are in a big Bastion fight right now, losing even more troops that could be used in a Bastion fight against BTX. Stamina looks like you guys have plenty of it to go around right now. I don't understand why what we talked about last night and agreed to as planned isn't being implemented. When I say stamina, I mean as a person. Yeah, they're talking about like your drive, right? Your motivation. A lot of our members were online all day, all 3 days. We have 48 online right now. That is less than half of what we need to attempt to hold BTX. My point being, why are we fighting with MFD on that Bastion? If the team is exhausted, they at least stop fighting and prepare for the BTX hold. It serves zero purpose. MFD is doing this intentionally, and A2G is taking the bait. Who cares about that giant? I'll get with Vital as soon as he's up, so I can give a solid where we are going from here. Now, what I will say here on this one is I probably would have to look at the lay of the land to see, is there any value in hitting that MFD Bastion, or is there more value in fighting for the final zone, like to kind of see like where everyone was positioned on the map at that time? And this is one of those things where I very much like when I'm getting a story and I'm reaching out to the sides that are involved, I typically like to try and do it as early as possible, because when I'm going through everything while we're reading things, I could actually go into the KvK and we could see where everyone is, right? For the most part, with maybe some things being minorly changed or maybe for mostly unchanged. So again, obviously we didn't have the opportunity to do that this time around. And even by the time I had reached out to everyone for the KvKs, right, the landscape had already massively changed. I'm just saying generally, those things can help to kind of give some context. Or if they provided screenshots at the time of saying like, look, here's the battlefield. This is where you guys are. This is where all the action is. You can kind of see how the territory looks and everything like that too as well. Those things can help. It's just what I'm saying there. Okay. Next one we have is, okay, Vital says was 37 online at the time of that choke, headed to sleep. Have R4s instructed to proceed on MFS on said as BTX side is pointlessly lack of manpower right now. Like I said last night, any and all troops have to be used to focus BTX. Fighting MFD is pointless. Will you defend at that bridge then against BTX? Right, so Doom, Captain, now we rally MFD Bastion when we said we didn't have troops to hold a Bastion on BTX. What the F are we doing now? What are we doing, man? If A2G stance is F final zone and fighting for whatever BS rewards a giant brings, just say it. At this point, the actions are clear, and I've about lost my patience. Now, my whole thing, as always, is like, dude, just get things in writing, right? And if you're going to do a voice recording, if you're going to do a voice chat and you're going to have conversations, record the voice chat, right? And just let people know in advance, like, look, we're just doing this by default, right? Like, just do it. You do it at the beginning of the season. If we're going to sit down and have a voice call, someone's going to record it, and then we're going to give the recording to everyone, right? So that way you have a reference point. I think that's a good idea to do. And if you just do things like that at the beginning of the season, and then, it's a lot easier to like get everyone on board for something like that, especially when everything's kind of out in the open. Okay. So now we get from Cap here, and obviously there's quite a bit. Okay. Let me take a moment to ensure you understand my stance. During numerous conversations, including chat and voice, I explained to you my thoughts and opinions on how to attack certain situations. Hang on. Well, yeah, certain situation problems, or even what to prioritize. Every single time I shared an opinion, you explained in some way, shape, or form how it wouldn't work. This includes the Zone 2 matchups, the Zone 3, Zone 4 strats, and invasions, literally everything I proposed, which at the end of each one, I just got tired of explaining my position 40 times. And I can't even recall how many times I've said this season I've explained my thoughts and position, but do what you guys want, because at some point it feels like I'm talking to an effing wall. Then I told you everything had to be spent on cutting MFD, to which both A2G and RoG told me it wasn't possible, even though it is. Instead, you then said you could hold BTX, which clearly didn't happen. Then every single choke you ignored, chokes that should have been almost impossible to break, you didn't even fight. Then, as most recent as last night, we discussed how to block with farms, keeps, bastion to at least delay them. Not a single measure was taken, and you continued to fight MFD for a useless giant and to protect a hydrant. Nothing about fighting MFD in Zone 2 ensures you had a shot to fight FZ with us. This goes back to a few weeks ago when you were basically trying to call it quits then, to which I explained to you, wAo never gives up on a KvK. Even during that discussion, you basically called me a bad leader because I would have my players use RSS to heal when the outcome was obvious. Any decent R5 or Kingdom fights until they have nothing left, like what you said A2G had last night. Yet for the past 24 hours, you've continued to fight MFD, rally bastions, players, and field fight. It's weird for someone who said you have nothing more to fight with, regardless of what the projected outcome was. I can't sit here and defend your stance to not do everything possible to avoid being cut and make it to the final zone. 10 people, 20 people, 40 people, doesn't matter. When you choose not to fight, no one respects that. You are choosing to prioritize a minor reward instead of focusing on the goal at hand, win the season. Your inability to even remotely consider someone else's opinion, strategy, or even do what was discussed you would do is what has brought us to this point. As R5, it seems as if you couldn't rally your team, provide the right strategy, even remotely communicate properly with them. Do you know how many of your members have messaged myself and other WO members trying to find out what A2G is doing and why you all are not defending the final zone? Okay. Here we go. I don't even know how many seasons this is for me in COD, but this is the absolute first time I've ever been in a situation in which my ally has not done everything possible to fight until the end and make it to the FZ. Even today, I tried to create some Diplo Hail Mary and get A2G into the final zone. Do you know why the reason I was... what is this? Do you know why the reason I was given to know? Because A2G rolled over. They didn't even try to fight after the first round to make it into FZ, and their presence in Zone 2 against MFD showed they didn't care about final zone. So why should they allow access? Also, to ensure my previous comment is understood, when I said, okay, yeah, then he just goes in and kind of explains that. Okay, next one here. I think I can bring my face back now. Entering final zone is one thing, yeah, but for what is the question, we can enter, but regardless of any post I make, people aren't going to be there excited to go. Haha, can't trick people in the game. If you're in the FZ, someone has to fight you guys. It helps WO and us get inside the area and set up shop. You got time to start setting up the final stand. We'll see people having a good time hitting MFD. Once we get TFD Hydra, they're going to come back for us and gives us some time to heal. We're just going to keep them on our side, not really push, but like we push, and if they keep trying to push our zone 2, we really push. They won't give up the Hydra. That's their EOS rewards too. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking with zone 2s. We just push MFD, rest of season, people have fun. MFD has EOS issues, and I focus on XKvK while members are less stressed and enjoy the game hitting accounts their size. People simply, dude, this is, I want to point out, and I'm going to maybe talk about this later. This is such an underrated post and comment that has such a deeper meaning that we could probably really dissect. But yeah, this is massive. Okay, people simply won't play as much fighting only BTX is part of why we move over. Needed it for our own activity and members' participation. I mean, I think you guys should try to final stand BTX, man. It's going to look bad if y'all don't even try. Plenty of time left to push MFD zone 2 for rewards if you can hold. No one feeling that way over here. Okay. We are likely going for a zone 2 hold for EOS rewards. There is no chance I get people to go back to BTX zone or have any troop activity left for Dragon zone. Not sure yet, figuring it out currently. I mean, they got a long way to go. You get that AF moved up inside the last choke point and set up shop. By the time they get there, won't be long till FC opens. Entering final zone is one thing, yeah, but for what is the question, we can enter it regardless. Okay, hang on. Oh, here it is. Hydra. Let me see here. We'll see once we get, well, not really push, but okay, hang on. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking with zone 2s. We just, oh yeah, no, hang on. We already showed that one. Okay. So that pretty much kind of sums up that portion. So now this is the Diplo for the 3v3 that we're gonna see. Okay, thank you, lady. Hello. A lot to say on above. Let's talk about this FZ thing first. What is on the table? So as far as the FZ thing, Cap is handling it. I think I'm seeing if they're willing to stop their push, they want to commitment from A2G will enter and fight. That's all they've asked for. Do we have a final zone set up, or they want current sides? That's all they have asked. Will A2G enter and fight? I told them I will work to get their commitment, and then I'll go back and continue the discussion. A2G has expended their fight, communicated by the amount of onlines now. No one believes in this KvK, or has since zone 2. Really, A2G will enter the Dragon zone, yes, but if the goal is for a fun final zone, heck yeah, y'all have caught up to my thought process 2 weeks back. I'm not going to comment on that. So you are agreeing to enter the FZ and fight. A2G will enter final zone regardless, but if you're looking for a non-disappointing final zone, you may need to put a little more effort. Okay. He's just looking for an answer if you will be there and fight. I've typed it twice, and what part of my words confuse y'all? I mean, could have just said yes or no in the beginning. I mean, I don't think it's difficult, so to speak. But again, I take this, I would interpret that still as a yes, but just with some caveats. I can break it into 2 portions. Cap's a very straightforward guy, like yes or no. Thanks. I'll let you know where it lands. A2G will enter the final zone. If the whole point of this is final zone, then we aren't achieving that, but A2G pathing through the gate. I brought this to y'all weeks ago. Was P much ignored? It feels my foresight was not shared. And now that it is in your face, you feel the same. I really don't understand it at all. I know y'all work and sleep semi-regular schedules, so I'm not sure if we just aren't on the game or what, but this has been the KvK for a while, and I have communicated it in this chat and in DMs as well. Okay. I didn't expect you to lay over and let BTX just walk through you if you want an honest response. This Diplo chat started with you telling me A2G could take BTX 1v1. You thought as well. Now we can't even defend a choke. So before we start playing the I told you so game, let's not. Let me try and work a solution to get into FZ and have a fun fight. Then just move on because this conversation back and forth provides zero benefit. I think this is the most beneficial conversation we've had so far. This whole chat has been hopium until this point. Providing some fun content for all of our players is important, not only for our own kingdoms, but the game. People not having fun will result in people quitting a game already on a decline. That's what Cap is trying to accomplish, just a fun fight, win or lose. I know you guys have had it rough the past few days. We aren't expecting you to be able to fight as hard as us. We know y'all aren't feeling it and are tired. I much prefer this. We did think we can fight BTX pre-zone 2. We also thought we should double invade MFD pre-zone 2. So we all wrong pre-zone 2. But at which point I attempted to call a meeting as we had no KvK plan anymore and still have established no KvK plan since that point. No, I stand by my point. You guys should have invaded MFD. Right. So, okay, there we go. You all said it couldn't work. I still think it could, but regardless, it's not worth rehashing. After seeing how unholdable BTX front is, I agree MFD invade would have been better. We potentially get some some fun PV for the weekend. Let's not do this and try. Let's not do this and try and at least get a fun scrap set up. Any progress on it, Cap? Where is it? After seeing, oh, wait, hang on. Where am I at? I guess it would have been MFD. Okay, yeah, progress. Here we go. They want me to talk to RFF and MFD and convince them. I'll work on it now. Got it. Thanks. I've talked to Abda previously. He is convinced this is a good KvK. AK wants to suckle on Echo and BTX type alliances, each KvK to grow. They are discussing. Okay. Are they able to put all Kingdom R5 in one chat so we don't have to play telephone? If y'all are still gaming, we are fighting them this side. If waiting for Dragon, that's fine. Just sharing if haven't seen. They denied it. Thanks for trying, Cap. Are you ignoring contact or what status? I just got home. We have missed probably 5 towers. Okay, so we've seen some part of that. Please tell me who to contact when. Oh, yes, you have nothing to say. Okay, we saw that one too. Okay, with WBO resigning from the Allies, are we calling it here? If WBO still enters the finals of FC to fight, we will fight with them. If they don't, we will enter alone and fight until we have no troops left. Okay. For a giant. Okay, here we saw part of this, right? Okay. Choose. Okay, we asked B to reply while I'm fighting. Just to verify, do you mean that you resigned from allying with A2G? We aren't resigning anything. They'll tell you if they want to enter and fight with us or not. The last time I asked, they were there. Will you be fighting at all before the final zone? Not sure. I assume that now with all that has transpired, you all will not fight BTX to keep from being cut. Not sure. I assume that now. Oh, here we go. They left the in-game leaders doomed, so it seems they are done. Well, if W goes in FZ, we will go and see what happens. We still intend to fight alongside them. Okay. Where am I? Not sure if envisioning. Here we go. Well, yeah. Okay. Not sure what you are envisioning. Are you able to elaborate? Is wAo fighting with RoG but not A2G? You would need to ask them. I'm not sure. Just stating that we intend to do final zone. Cap's statement was clear to me. They are out. I'm asking you how you would like to proceed. I answered to proceed. Your way would make wAo not outright. Haha. That's why I'm confused. And then, I mean, if you guys enter the final zone, we will still be fighting BTX 17 and RFF. Nothing has changed from our plan for the FZ. We do not have a final zone entrance. Got to accept that we lost the zone. I am just stating sides. Yeah, we misplayed it, but we now here in the present, we have lost the zone. W has resigned from allies, so we are talking MFD sandwich is only option left on table. So to confirm, you will not try to fight BTX to prevent them from cutting you out of the final zone. That is correct. We do not have the RSS to prevent BTX from going where they want to. All right, then at this point, we need to heal, as it will be a 2v3 in the FZ. We intend on fighting in the FZ. I am sure once the FZ opens there will be plenty of opportunity to fight in that zone 2 to retake that territory. What happens after the FZ, I am not sure. The MFD wars y'all have been watching is like 40 people for us. We got cooking in the BTX zone. We're here instead of being AFK. I understand that healing and stalling that zone could have made better D zone or defensive zone, but that isn't the option we took. So it's just interesting. It feels like a little bit of the back and forth there. Okay, so here's the A2G coalition pullout. There's only a couple more screens now, or at least again, right from what the RoG side has stated. Okay, so we're above. I updated members of 183 at time of caps. We're out declaration. I did not go on a narrative streak. The way you all have attempted to cap on gun stream or RoG Kingdom post. Yes, I can see your Discord. My Discord post attached, and we saw this as well. I've got nothing to hide here, bro. Everything I stated in my analysis to my players is exactly what happened. The only narrative being pushed here is your narrative. Go look in future seasons. As you surely know, for anything in life, Doom, there is more than one side, which is why I don't type essay, as I'm not here to paint a narrative. A man 10 years wiser than me should know this, or a father while we're at it. Dang, now we're getting personal. Whatever you need to tell yourself to feel better, man. Although, like I said, good luck. Okay, so 2v3v1, just so I understand, do you think running a smear campaign on A2G is not personal? Playing victim is wild? Also, Doom is classy, but throwing a man's kid in his face is quite disgusting. I expect more from you, Vital. Do better. I didn't know Doom had a kid, to be clear. That is for Cap to answer above question. Regardless of cheap behavior, it's not a game, not real life. Tell me your view of the rest of the behavior listed above as well, please, if you're able to be an unbiased party. There is no smearing. You kind of did that to yourself, my bro. I only stated the events that happened or transpired. I understand is your perspective. There have been a distinct lack of understanding of my perspective. And then we get into the top. Honestly, Vital, I've been here reading this whole time as I deal with my bereavement time. I'm honestly disappointed in your abilities to be 100% honest with us. If you didn't want to be allies for the job, you should have been forthcoming in OG talks, because that is how all of this is feeling to me. Oh God, that felt great. Personally, I was really excited for the season, but your attitude towards almost every suggestion and direction has been that you know better than us, which fair, everyone is entitled to an opinion, but there was no give. This season was a massive letdown overall, and a large part of that is on you. I'm no way saying we are perfect, but we are transparent and honest. I mean, I'm not going to get into it with you. It's a game, dude. If I had wanted to smear your alliance, it would have been much, much worse. For paragraph 2, if you check with Doom, I was forthcoming in our DMs. We had a discussion. Again, I had a large respect for you keeping a lot of OGs from G3 together still. Cap shared the same concerns in our DMs, but y'all got this buddy-buddy thing going on, so it's painting me the bad guy. About our attendance, which I know was subpar, trust me, we were frustrated with it just as much as y'all. And I want to point something out here. That is such a true statement when you are a part of management and you are anticipating for a certain number of people to show up. Maybe you've done some trimming, right? Even from the RoG perspective. Remember, we had interviewed, oh gosh, I'm forgetting her name right now, but we'd interviewed this lovely lady over in RoG who was working on the migration out, discharge, program, kind of helping people get situated elsewhere, so that way they could trim and bring in people, right, to fill. But like with anything, I and again, this isn't like I'm not giving anyone an out here, but this is a very true statement, and this applies for every Kingdom and Alliance. If you are bringing people in and you feel like, man, we've done a good job trimming some fat and bringing in more actives, and then you get into the KvK and people that you were expecting to show up didn't show up, unfortunately, sometimes there's nothing you can do, especially if they've shown up previously, but for whatever reason they didn't show up this season. Right, sadly, there's almost nothing you could do about those things. I mean, that's kind of like, hitting you from the blind side at that point. So that sucks. And I can tell you from someone who's done multiple projects across multiple kingdom builders, when you are planning and organizing things and people are giving you a yes or telling you this, that they're going to show up, and you get a severely lower number than what you were expecting to get, it is disappointing. But it's more disappointing on the feeling for the people that had the expectations in the first place, which usually comes first and foremost to people that are in management and in those R4, R5, or even for those that are in like a planning department, as an example. Those are things, you're using your number projections to go off of and to formulate plans at times. And so, yeah, it absolutely sucks. I understand that. Okay. And that's okay. I'm not here quitting on y'all, but all I suggested in this KvK was that we take a look at the field and set realistic goals. Wild, because your announcement was we are solo. Okay, the next. 100% what Cap has demonstrated to me as a person, this KvK needs to be called out. His own R4 talked to my R4 to apologize. He knows this. That's why the wAo's out was reverted. I clarified my post to you. Isn't that the perfect example? Guess so. I'm good with myself, brother. I don't need your approval or anyone else's. Those concepts you were speaking about 5 minutes ago, about to apply both ways, or is it going to be crickets now? Show me them colors. For the record, I didn't slander A2G. As somebody stated facts and clarify my position, but anyways, good luck, bro. Okay, I am met with a Dragon's Own dream over and over. This is off of Cap's post. I can assure you that I got no special treatment from Cap. Cap was just frustrated with us as he was with you. The difference was I owned up to it and told him how we would move forward from it. You went the opposite direction, even came off as insulting to him and his alliance, though I do not believe you were trying to do that. We are mid-Bastion fight doing what we can to do damage to one of the armies, since we won't make it to Dragon Zone, to D Zone. We are trying to at least provide something. I can back that up as well. We let wAo down. I have insulted Cap as a person. That's true. Didn't insult wAo to my recollection. I have to go back to work, but Vital, I truly hope you learn from the season. Your members deserve a leader. It's your third attempt at a dig. Give it a rest. Enjoy the workday. Here's the secret. You go after yourself. It's just, I mean, like I felt like I could see that coming. Like it was being teed up at that point. based on everything. Okay, so here's the last part. This is the before after of like the quote unquote A2G betrayal that also includes, I think, some MFD stuff. I didn't realize we were already at an hour here. There we go. I let Cap know the basic thing, Abda, but I think, but if there was anything you want to fill Cap in on, he can read in between his IRL stuff, which is, I imagine, the previous comments here. Hey, Cap, would love to call later tonight. I guess only new update. I voice called with Vital, was able to get him involved. Y'all do your thing. I'll just be starting fires elsewhere on the map as a 20UTC, and eventually our towers will make it up to the main event if that is still going on at the time. I imagine it'll probably take people half a day before everyone is fully on the same page as what's going on, for people to sleep and all. I think A2G should mobilize now, but need to make post first, or people will be really confused. And then here we go. Right, here's the thing about like the BTX approached A2G and Vital in them, and then them switching sides. Right, so then here's Doom saying, I just got off a voice call with Abda to make sure this is okay. My Kingdom's Council just voted on these parameters. We fight BTX, RFF, and Final Zone to support our coalition partner wAo and support them whatever they need. Our support is key. So if you guys are engaged with whoever, we can engage with you. We nap with MFD to fight BTX and RFF. Once BTX, RFF are cleared as FZ, we will delete back our territory to the Final Zone chokes, and we are out of it. We ask for no EOS rewards from Final Zone. This is what I got. I personally want it, but I'm bound by the doctrine of my alliance to set up for leadership. We can work with this, though. We will push BTX territory hard and work to free wAo. BTX has to fight either RoG or wAo, with one always pushing their territory. All MFD has to do is hold their area until wAo gets there. A2G is nearby as well. Captain, your council sucks. That's my take. Just like I love the witty banter. W is in. Let's go. Yeah, man, I understand. To clarify, Doom, this message states there will be no support from RoG outside of FC in regards to Zone 3. And then, okay. Oh, I think, this is the same then. Okay. I thought this was a different one. It's not. Okay. And then we get to like some MISC screenshots. Oh yeah, this was like a drama update someone had posted. Oh yeah, this is just the switch. We already saw that. Let me see. Oh yeah. Can I release any screenshots from Diplo chats on private dinners with you guys about the A2G not fighting in Zone 3 and MFT betrayal sagas from you guys? Again, only the Diplo chats trying to make sure A2G's rep gets flatlined and maybe help out MFD a bit with why they did what they did. Even though, I advised against it, Abdo was still hella fun playing with you guys though, bro. Yeah, good here. Yeah, of course. Okay. And then, then here was just some other screens on some other data stuff, right? So Merit's gang kills. I think this might have been closer to FZ or Zone 3. I think it was post Zone 3 or FZ, or in the FZ, I should say. And you can see some merits gained here, kills obtained, and then merits gained. I think this was shared by the RoG team, if I recall. And then we saw another one like deaths accumulated, mana spent, and then there was a graph here below. So that pretty much covers everything. I didn't realize we were going to be at almost an hour and 10 minutes here. I mean, there's a lot, right? And I'm sure people will go through this and, grab screens and share. But again, this to me, I wish I could have, I could have just went really fast through each of the screens, and maybe we didn't necessarily read everything. So maybe that's a thought for the future. But I at least wanted, despite how long this is, I wanted to make sure that we covered and conveyed and showed as much as humanly possible. My conclusion on how I feel about each of the parts, and maybe I'll try and timestamp these for like each portion that we talked about. Part of me feels like I need to see a little bit more still. I did reach out to the BTX and the MFD side to ask some questions, but it's been over 24 hours. I haven't heard anything back yet. So, because to me, there's the one side on the A2G portion or front where, from their perspective, they just felt like, okay, we're not being heard. And then on the other side of it, which was WA and RoG side, it was, okay, well, no, we all talked, we all had a conversation, we all agreed. So there's something there. There's some gray area there. And A2G kind of steps back and steps aside. It doesn't look like they proactively went out to go and try and find another matchup because you are, or to go and join the other team, because we saw screens that showed that MFD left RFF and BTX. Now, I don't know if MFD, which is now gets the second piece, did MFD inform BTX and RFF that they were leaving? Or did they do those things behind closed doors and then did it as basically kind of a surprise to eventually become a surprise attack against RFF and BTX? Because remember, we know that it did briefly turn into a 2v4, which the screenshots indicated, because then A2G had a vote and then they decided to go and eventually side with RFF and BTX. So that would be one question on both sides that I would have, because I think that clarifies some stuff, right? Where at this point, RFF, BTX, MFD did not know what was going on with A2G basically separating themselves, right? With however that may have came about. So when I look on the RFF and BTX and MFD side, the two lines of thought here is that if MFD just backed away, or if they didn't say anything and then they reached out to the other team without informing RFF and BTX that they were going solo and they're just not going to participate in the ally or the union anymore between those three, then that does look a little bit more, if not exactly like a betrayal. Now, if they did inform them that they were going to go solo and that they weren't going to participate and that they were leaving the team, and then they opted, okay, that's a little bit different. You could still maybe consider that a betrayal, but the difference here is that they were transparent enough in saying, listen, we're not going to participate anymore. We're going to go solo. Regardless if you want to say that, yeah, maybe they should have said something if they were going to try and reach out to the team, but it's like, what else are you going to do at that point? So, as far as, what you might or may consider to do, I should say, right? Because some people may not. Some people might do, because if you look at A2G's perspective, at least from how it looks, the optics is that even if A2G left, at least they didn't go over to the RFF, BTX, MFD side and try to turn it into a 2v4 against RoG and wAo. So unless I see something else that indicates that, respect to A2G, right? Because they did what they said, at least it appears, right, that they were going to do. So yeah, it does make you wonder, right, on what really happened there between MFD, RFF, and BTX, because the optics to me right now, I'm leaning a little bit more on the side of like, it is kind of looking like MFD may have betrayed BTX and RFF. But the context is important. And before we can say one way or another, I would need to see screenshots or get answers to those questions I asked, or if something comes available, right? To prove that nothing was done behind closed doors, nothing was done under the table, nothing was done in the shadows of RFF and BTX's awareness from the MFD perspective. So those are my thoughts. Let me know what you think in the comments down below on everything. And this is probably the longest one we've done so far. It was a lot to share everything. I hope at least those of you, if you're still here by now, you at least appreciated the in-depth and detailed report on everything, even if I also understand longer than even I probably would have wanted it to be. That's it for me. As always, until next time, we'll catch you later.